Hello there, and welcome to another exciting episode of All Nicked Up. I am one of your hosts. Of course, I'm Eric, and we got another exciting show packed for you. We're going to lead you in to the Knicks as they take on the Houston Rockets. I think I put the Hawks on the invite. My apologies. It's the Rockets. So, we're going to take you right into that game. It starts in about a half hour. We'll get into a few things before we get to the game. But let me bring in my crew. Bring in Ty. Let's bring in Joe. Gentlemen,
It's go
happy
hump.
Wednesday. Happy Hump
Hello,
Day.
hello.
Happy. No humping around. Humpty hump.
Yeah, so I mean, we got news literally like an hour ago. There was a trade happened. It wasn't with the Knicks, but a trade did happen. It was it was one that was had kind of taken legs yesterday. We started hearing about different kinds of permutations of the deal, and we'll start with that. We'll just touch on it real quick. It's not a Knicks trade, but Pascal Siakam was traded to the Indiana Pacers for Bruce Brown and 3 first-round picks. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes.
I believe so. Mm-hmm.
He also got
So
Kira Lewis, I think, from the Pelicans.
Yeah.
okay, so I don't think Siakam was worth that, especially with at his age. I'll put it that way. I'm not that he's not an all-star caliber player. He definitely is. He's been an all-star before. Very, very good player. I'll say that. But I don't know if he's a 3 first-round pick type of player. Really quickly before we get into the next stuff, what did you guys think of the deal? Either one of you could take it.
Sure, you right.
We knew this check was in the mail, right? That this was the AA that they were going to have to trade Pascal Siakam, and that, yeah, Indy was a logical choice for that. I have to be honest, my first thought was, where is Obi's minutes going to come from now with him playing at the 4? And he's going to go from playing behind Randall to playing behind Siakam. But anyway, I like the trade for Indy. This is a team that has showed up this year. I mean, they did some things that I've liked recently. The Tyrese Halliburton trade worked out real well for them, even though they gave up Sabonis, who's a really good player. Ben Mathurin. I like Ben Mathurin. They had some other pieces that were there, Buddy Hield, Miles Turner, different players like that. Having Rick Carlisle as a coach, who I'm an admirer of, and they came up this year and they showed out. I like this move for them. I think Pascal Siakam is going to make that team a lot better. I think that those first really are going to turn into too much. It's their 24 and their 26. They're a young team, so it's not like Milwaukee's pick where you're wondering if they'll be past your prime by the time we get our hands on it. I don't think they're going to be high picks. I think that third pick was like the worst out of 3 other picks that they had. So I don't think the price tag is going to be that bad for them. They're going for it, and I applaud them for it. You know, the only question I have is how long they're going to sign him for. They're going to sign him in the $40 million range. I'm sure that there were discussions beforehand, because Siakam was saying that unless he was signed for the max, he would rather test free agency, was directly what he had said. So it'll be interesting. 29 years old right now, a very solid player, brings a different offensive dimension to them. So in light of all of that and the fact that it will make Indy better, how much are those 3 first-rounders really worth? So I like the trade personally, and I like this Indy team. I think this Indy team is going to give people nightmares coming up. So that's my take.
I don't like it from a Knicks perspective, but from an Indiana perspective, from an Indiana perspective, I kind of agree. Ty, what about you? And take it from the other perspective. What do you think what this does for Toronto?
No, I think Toronto's may have won the trade in a lot of ways. I know people may not look at it from that perspective, but they're from under a guy that they plan on not re-signing. His fit there didn't make much sense. They're probably a couple of years too late trading him. They could have probably traded him for even higher value a couple of years ago, in my opinion. He was really sought after at one point, and if anything, I think being in Toronto this long has kind of devalued him to a degree. I think you could have definitely gotten more for him as far as the package. Toronto is doing the right things right now, as far as I'm concerned. They went young. They drafted Scotty Barnes pretty high. That was the guy they were sold on. Many people thought it was going to be Jalen Suggs, including myself. And Barnes was quite the surprise during that draft that he had, shot up the ranks so quickly. And, Toronto supposedly took a risk, if you want to say that, but it's panned out for them very well. You add to that R.J. Barrett. His efficiency looks pretty damn good right now. Might be bland, but pretty good. You got a guy like Emmanuel Quickley, who's an uprising point guard in this league. The question will be, are they willing to pay him the kind of money he's looking for? Right now, probably so, because they don't really have an answer. They're not keeping Schroeder long term. So right now, you got a blossoming young team, and the Brown trade aspect, don't make it to be underrated. That's a very solid pickup, Bruce Brown as well. So, he can ball. So, you got, they may come off of somebody like Gary Trent Jr. Maybe they look to move him at this point, because Bruce Brown is basically going to play that kind of role for them. But Toronto is not – Masai Ujiri is not the kind of GM that you worry about. He's had some questionable things with what's the little dude that went to Houston –
Ben Fleet.
Letting him go and walk, without any kind of compensation. And, he should have gotten berated for that kind of move. But however, they bounced back quite well. When you got Kira Lewis, he's been a little bit underwhelming as a draft pick. He was, thought to be something special at one point. He's probably, playing a little bit better now, but, you at least got a backup option, to Emmanuel Quickley now, who can maybe, he can dispel him for a few minutes. Toronto's going to be fine. We don't know who won any of these trades. When you think back on the Knicks and you think back on Indiana, both of them, kind of leverage their future to get in what they believe is ready to win now players. For me, Siakam with Miles Turner, you're talking about a lot of length on that team now. Halliburton, a lot of length. So you got some tall trees out there that you're going to have to contend with. That's not, favorable for the Knicks per se, or most people in the league that have to deal with that kind of height. For Philly, they should be a little worried. Indiana has their number, and now I'm sorry, Milwaukee. I'm sorry. Milwaukee, they usually have Milwaukee. They've had Milwaukee's number this whole year. So you had a guy like Siakam to that lineup, and now you almost got to wonder whether or not Milwaukee is, a little bit shaking in their boots, having to, maybe deal with these guys in the first or second round. I think they got a lot of trouble ahead of them. I think it'll be a seamless fit. You got a great point guard in Halliburton. You can't do no wrong right now. Both teams won in this. We obviously the future can't be seen as far as with the draft picks. You can only think about the potential that you may find a gem there. But I would trust Toronto's staff to actually find the right players to put into their unit. So both teams won. The same thing we said about with the Knicks with RJ leaving out and them getting back Giannonobi. Both teams seem like they've kind of gotten what they needed as far as in the short term. The long-term effects of these trades are still yet to be determined.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree with both of you. I think it was a good trade for both teams.
Mm-hmm.
I do think Toronto, like Ty, as you said, they're kind of switching things now, switching gears. Siakam was their star for a while. Now Scotty Barnes is kind of elevating and taking that spot. And so they're making the moves to build around him. And I think it's a very smart move. I'm a very big fan of Scotty Barnes. So, yes, that's the move you want to make. Clear out the way and start the rebuild, because it's a rebuild around him. Like, that's what they're doing. So That's a very, very wise move. Those picks, who knows? Like Joe, you said, who knows where they're going to be? Honestly, I don't know, depending on where Toronto, how good this Toronto team is and how quickly they develop. But I don't think they're going to be picks that are going to be super high. So, so we'll see exactly how this trade pans out. And for Siakam, he's going to a team that's going for it, right? the Pacers are going for it. They have Halliburton. They have Mathurin, like you said. They're a very talented team, very good young team, and he's kind of what they were missing. It's kind of a piece that they didn't have. Well, now they're adding that. Him, Miles Turner. They have a really good squad. I'm worried, like Joe said, I'm worried about them now. Like that's a team that I'm very much. I was worried about them before, but now I think they're better. So I'm worried about them now going forward. Like you said, Siakam's 29, probably has 4, definitely 4 years, maybe 5.
He's got an old man's game.
Yeah, exactly. He's not a big run jump athlete. He's got a very old man's game, like Jalen Brunson. Like we say, Brunson has an old man's game. He definitely has an old man's game. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how all of this unfolds going forward. But I do like the trade for both teams. I think it's going to give, like you said, more opportunities, not only to Barnes, but to Barrett and to Quickly and to everything they're trying to do over there. More defined roles for them, I believe now. And both franchises can just get moving forward in the process. I hate that it's Toronto and I hate that it's Ujiri. All the bad blood between the Knicks and the Raptors. I'm kind of like, okay. But
20th, so
yeah.
He's a hell of a team.
You mentioned Obi Toppin, Joe, and I was joking with the guys last night. I was praying that he was included in the deal so they could have all the Knicks first round picks
in the chat.
Yeah. So I was like, oh, that would have been just poetic, right? To see that happen. But good for them. Again, I'm afraid now. I'm a little scared what's going on. But we'll see how that happens going forward. Mm-hmm. All right. There's something I want to discuss that's not basketball related, but it's definitely Knicks related. Everyone knows how I feel about James Dolan. So I don't want to lead the charge here again with with these allegations. If you haven't read the summons and complaint, it is out there. You guys, you can find it. Deadline has a copy of it. I forwarded it to both the guys here. I don't know if you guys read the full complaint. You didn't read it?
Not the full.
No, not the full complaint. All I'm gonna say is I never want to disparage anyone from coming forward, and I never want to say I don't believe anybody. If that's what happened, and you say that's what happened, that's what happened. A lot of the pieces of the story, I'm not saying they don't add up. I'm just saying the way it was worded in the complaint for me was very strange. Now, again, I have no love lost for the Knicks owner, so I'd be on the first train, be like, yes, get him out of here. If this is going to get him out of here, make him for himself the team, I would be leading the charge. But again, I have a legal training background. I was trained as a paralegal, so I always like to look at both sides of the story and try and get all my facts before I make a judgment. How it looks to me right now, I'm not so sure. Now, the fact that Harvey Weinstein's included, that's bad. Like that part of it is bad. I didn't know they were friends. Apparently they're friends. Yeah. And then he wrote this song about he should have stopped him or he should have stepped in the way. Or I was like, first of all, that song was terrible. But I'm like, and it's just the complaint is very, like I said, it's very strange. But again, she was a young girl, 2 powerful guys. She doesn't, she's trying to make her way in the world. They made these great offers for her. And they started, making sexual advances towards her. The stuff with Weinstein was really creepy. If you read it, very, very creepy stuff. But all I'll say is this: if Donald Sterling got kicked out for the N-word, had to sell the team, this is 20 times worse. This is 20 times worse. And if it's true, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't want to say I'm happy because I'm not. I would never want that to be the reason why he's forced to sell the team.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to lie, I won't be sad. That's all I'm going to. So what do you guys think about, if you read the complaint, you know this. If you didn't read the complaint, I'm sure you know the details. So what did you parse from it? Let me put it that way. What did you guys pull from what you've heard?
Well, you can go ahead. you go, because you don't talk as much as I do. So go on, Joe.
I don't know. I don't want to believe it's true. Personally, I know that you're supposed to believe the accusers and everything like that, but the left brain in my head says that people have incentives if they have an axe to grind of that kind of thing. This is a road that some people go down in some situations. I don't know, man. Eric, I've talked to you about this, offline, and I've always been kind of upfront about it. Like, I personally am in recovery. Next month, I'll be 21 years sober. And
Congrats.
in order to do that, you have to kind of live a certain way. James Dolan is someone who's also spent a lot of time in recovery.
Mm-hmm.
And to maintain sobriety, I can't see somebody conducting themselves that way. Personally, it's one of the hardest things a person could do. I know that he's had 1,000 of other sins and he's arrogant and all of those things, but to live like that and maintain sobriety is in my mind probably really, really difficult. How you live is very important if you're a recovering alcoholic, recovering drug addict, how you conduct yourself. And to do something that sick, I think is just opening a door for another sickness to come in. So I kind of question that a little bit. I know he's not a perfect person, but it makes me question it a little bit. I hope it's not true. He was really close friends with Weinstein. He was on his board for several years of the Weinstein Company. And, I don't know. I hope it's not. I hope that this didn't happen to this woman. I hope that she didn't have to endure that. It's probably one of the most terrible things that can happen to a human being. But there's also that perspective that I'm looking at that if he was living that sickly, it would be really hard for him to stay sober, just from my experience.
Yeah, I mean, the complaint did throw in. This is why I said it was some of the stuff in it. I'm like, really? They had to throw that in? They threw in that she saw like Ambien and some other drug on his nightstand or whatever on the counter near the bed. Like, I was like, okay, people know his history. And if you're a lawyer trying to prove something and that was there, you're going to put that in, right? Because that's your job. You're going to put that in a complaint.
Mm-hmm.
But that's one of the things I was kind of like, okay, I don't know how relevant that is, but like he's just doing his job. He's getting the facts and creating the complaint that he has to create. So Ty, what do you think? Out of both, I mean, both of you, I've talked to both of you a long time, so everyone knows how I feel about Dolan. Mm-hmm. But from what you know and what you've heard from the complaint,
mm-hmm.
do you think he's in trouble?
I think he's in trouble. I just think it's what the environment is nowadays. She probably took a page out of watching Cat Williams. I think a lot of people are, with the exposure nowadays of, dragging people to the carpet and running over their toes several hundred times, but you have to have the receipts to do it. The difference with Cat was that, clearly Cat Williams broke the internet. For those who didn't watch it, do yourself a favor and watch it because it is absolutely quite entertaining. And it basically, lifted the veil of discretion of I guess you would want to say diabolical people in the entertainment industry. We've known about this from whether it's the Me Too movements and Weinstein and Epstein, we've seen it all, right recently. And this movement is towards trying to clean up things that were messed up prior and not just even current things. People are going back in the archives. We saw it with Cosby. We've seen it with a lot of different people where they come out and say, well, your time is now, and we're going to, unveil what you've been doing in the past, even if you've changed, maybe your life is completely different, like Joe said, with, sobriety and all this other stuff. There are some people that don't forget what you do. That's part of life is, does people allow you a second opportunity? And my advice I've always said to my nephew, I always tell him, you get no second chances nowadays. That's just how the world is built. You're guilty in the public's eye, even when you're proven innocent. And I think for James Dolan, a person who's not been very likable to a lot of NBA fans, and just outright, he's had a history of being an issue with women. I brought up last night Anuka Brown Sanders. He did cover for Isaiah Thomas and the zoo that was going on in MSG. And I liken back to what we're seeing now is kind of similar. He had a friend. We know one thing about James Dolan. He's extremely loyal, but it's always to a fault. Even in his hiring process, he hires people that is loyal to him. And he will basically fall on several hundred swords to prove that he's loyal to these people. And I think one of the things mentioned was he knew Weinstein was a bad person, but he wanted to help him. Maybe that's part of him knowing that when he needed help and was in the doldrums, someone reached down and pulled him up and said, I'm going to support you no matter how ugly you've been. So, sometimes, the innocent is the one that gets the bullet, the stray bullet. You could be a bystander and may have nothing to do with the actual crime, but that does not mean you don't suffer the injuries associated with things at this level, especially the pain. Whether this, we don't know whether or not it's true or not. That's for the courts to decide, but we always know the court of public opinion is going to by far outweigh anything. We've heard about Diddy and, to bring him up with Cassie and, the minute he settled his lawsuit, it was known that the floodgates are going to open. So,
Yep.
You're going to not just see this young lady come forward. If someone sees this as an opportunity to maybe make money or maybe to get some exposure, maybe get a book deal out of some of this stuff, you may see other people come forward and start to mention, he did something to them that they didn't find appropriate. Because right now, if you talk loud to someone, they can find that inappropriate. You go scream at someone, they can say you're threatening them. So we are in a very heightened, sensitive world now. So, James Dolan, when looking at him as a person, we know he's the petty police. We've known that there are people who have reasons not to like. I personally don't. I don't pay attention. I know, Eric. The first thing I said was, "When did you set him up for this trial?" Because I said, "I know you have no love for this dude whatsoever."
I know.
We've talked off camera about the setup. I was like, "Well, when we get him actually expelled from the league, because this thing, Eric is going to probably devise a plan."
We did.
Want to get rid of Dolan, so I'm like, "This is like Eric had to do with this. He had to have something to do with this." But and jokingly, but I digress in saying that you got a guy who's not friendly with the league. The league does not like him a lot. You got ownerships that don't like him. He's in opposition with the actual commissioner. We learned about him, calling him basically a Toronto Maple Leaf bootlicker, who favors their owner over everyone else. He's put a lawsuit out and said that he does not want Silver to be anywhere involved or be a mediator of the issues.
Right.
So, and he stepped down from basically the board of governors, I guess it is, or the meeting. He doesn't want to be involved. He basically has outed himself from this league as far as the concerns and the daily operation of this league. I'm going to believe he's not liked. That's just, I don't think that I'm being too crazy in thinking that. And in lieu of that, how much is he disliked? Is he disliked enough that some board of governors start to say, well, we don't want him here, that we want him out, that these things prove to be somewhat true? I mean, how much truth do they want? If he admits guilt or settles out, is that enough? Where they may say, dude, you got to go. Because this is not strike one, by the way, people. Like I said, Anuka Brown Sanders was strike one. And
I bet the dislike is bigger than a bread basket.
What's that you said?
I bet the dislike is bigger than a bread basket.
Oh, absolutely. And bread is pretty good when you put some butter on it. And I'm just he's got some crusty basket there because I'm just of the mindset that when I first heard it, I said, oh, they're trying to get him out. That's the first thing I was thinking. I was like, somebody's going to try to get him out. Because I don't think Knicks fans would be Craig will not like this whatsoever. But I don't think most Knicks fans, and I'm not included in this, but a lot of Knicks fans do place a lot of blame on him as far as the ownership. Players are a little bit probably bothered even more so when you think about it. A lot of them don't come here because of the media policies and the silent policies. The media does not like this guy whatsoever because of the closed meetings. There's just a buildup of animosity towards this guy that if they find any little thing, and who knows, like what I said last night, I said, who is her Clive Davis? Who is the person guiding her on how to sue Diddy. I mean, this is what we're going now because he has enemies. The enemies at the gate right now, and they're hitting Madison Square Garden's floor pretty easily because he's become an easy target. Like him, love him, hate him. But he's an easy mark right now. And the minute you match him with Weinstein, the minute you put him anywhere, they got all of the photos. I think in the document, they showed him hugging him in several photos of the complaint. You think that's not like strategically placed there? Like,
it totally is.
A nasty and knowing Dolan, he's arrogant enough to say, you're not going to tell me who I need to be friends with. Because we saw with Isaiah and it cost him $80 million. Because
already happened.
You're not going to tell me who to hire. He's going to come out with that. And when I tell you in this environment of unwokeness, because I don't call it woke, but the unwokeness, these people are ready to hear you get arrogant in front of them like, oh, you can't touch me. Oh, what? Could you imagine if he keeps doing that and keeps barking in the media, you know, and playing this and blowing this off with no seriousness? That dude's in a lot of damn trouble if he don't learn to shut his mouth and just follow through with the law and don't speak publicly about this anywhere moving forward. Because the more you try to defend yourself, you get dissected even more. And then all of a sudden, all the corporations start saying, we don't know if we want to really sponsor with you anymore. Just watch Diddy's takedown. I don't want to put him at this level, but just watch how the takedown happened. You went from being someone that was, you know, marketable and people invested a lot of money in you and they showed you favor, and all of a sudden those friends go away when the financial wallet starts getting hit from people saying, I don't want to buy products, and because it's about finances. When they start pulling sponsorships because of the association, I don't care how much money Dolan has. He lives by those sponsors and those big corporations that pay for those season tickets and pay for the advertisement on the logos on those jerseys. That's where the money is going to happen, and that might be where the pressure comes from.
And also, advertising is supposed to be a big source of revenue for the Sphere.
See?
Yeah, the right, and a lot of people don't know that, and a lot of people don't. I mean, people might know, but they just never think about it. It's not ever always on the front of people's mind that your ownership of a team in the NBA, you're not technically owning the team. You're a steward because the league owns the team. The league owns every team. So you're kind of, it's kind of like a lease in certain respects, because if he truly owned the team, there could be nothing he could do where they could kick him out, right? So it's kind of this collective ownership deal.
It's like a franchise out. No,
it's basically you're right. Yeah, so that's the part of this that I'm kind of like, how bad, like how far is this going to go, right? Like, how far are there going to be more? What if there's more girls? What if they come out now and they're like, he did it to me too? And, you know, like, what if that continues? And
more will come out whether it's real or not.
That's the thing.
Well, that's one thing. You're right. That's probably true. But my thing is, he's damned if he does and damned if he doesn't. Like, if he settles, to me, settling is always an admission of guilt. If you say you're settling, you did something. You might not have done everything she said, but you did something because you don't want it to get out there.
You're going to lose in court.
Yes, exactly. You're going to lose in court. So that's one part of it. Like, if he settles, he's guilty, in my opinion. If more girls come out and say, you know, accuse him of this, that's even another layer of this story now. So there's another part of it that he has to deal with. For him personally, I'm thinking, at what point does it get to that he says, I can't take this anymore?
Yeah.
And he moves on because he doesn't want to be in the spotlight at all. So,
well, you got to remember, he did mention that he does not like being in the business of basketball.
Yeah,
like
he did.
Of being a sports owner. He said that it doesn't have the same rewards as going there with the Sphere in Vegas, that he enjoyed that process more so than being a sports owner. You know, I think I said it to Craig last night off the grid. I said, you know, one of the things is that I think that he wants to be in entertainment, and those two sports franchises just happen to be part of his entertainment group, but he doesn't love the sport enough to be that involved in the operations on making sure, like, his end product are the seats filled? You know, are people enjoying themselves? Do I have stars on front row? And, you know, And are the fans somewhat happy? Because you realize when the fans start booing, which is basically saying if you went to a show and you start booing, someone would say, well, what do we need to do to change the show? Because I don't want the boos. That's the dynamic he never got with the sports, is that winning stops the booing. Winning championship stops the real booing. If you could do that, but he's never been that vested in sports as far as a winning product, more so just a stage where people can perform and fill the seats. That's basically what the Knicks have been for a long time, because we never not sell out. It's just we've been a terrible basketball organization. He may very well say, or his board of directors may very well say, you know what? Maybe it's time for you to bow out a little bit and let someone else in the forefront. I mean, that could literally happen also.
Yeah.
One thing that, as he becomes more successful in outside ventures, which looks like that's happening. I mean, they're talking about more spheres, and the early buzz on it is very strong.
Yeah.
And this is the kind of justification that the daddy of a billionaire kind of really needs, because it's his baby.
Yep.
It's not something inherited. The fallacy, I think, at this point is to think that he will move on from the teams. But he said something publicly once that made me think that he will never sell the teams. He referred to both the Rangers and Knicks as family assets. And I think he sees this as something that will remain in the Dolan family, that, yes, he may move away from it or somebody else in the family may get involved. But that term family asset, it has like a kind of hereditary dynasty kind of, this is a Dolan thing, whether or not I'm fully invested in it.
Yeah.
So the way I've been with Dolan, I don't care as long as he pays the luxury tax. I really don't.
And no,
I have a big issue with him. I just want him to hire the best people to win the title, and that's just never happened. That's my issue.
We're looking pretty good now, though, man. Whatever decisions are going on, I mean, it's the best basketball we've seen in a really long time.
Yeah,
so
I agree with that
too.
Consistently, yes, I agree with that. I agree with that. The Knicks are in. They're not a great team, but they're a good team, and like we have, there's potential to be more if they make the right things. So yeah, I totally agree with you there. We'll keep it, guys. We'll keep watching this story and talking about it as time goes on, because it's not going to go away. But to me, it was the biggest news in the Knicks world this week, because, I mean, I really don't want to talk about what happened on Monday, but I guess we kind of have to. So we'll quickly go through it. We'll start with the obvious. Since Jalen Brunson's been out, the Knicks have been struggling. Monday was a very good example of that, but it wasn't because of the guard spot. Deuce McBride played very well, and he has played very well. So
Absolutely.
Maybe the leadership aspect, and I've said many times I don't feel like he is a great leader, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he's just quiet about it, because they've looked towards the end of that game, they looked completely lost.
Yeah.
And a lot of times it might just be him saying, I need to score right now, and then he does. Yeah. So coupled with the Knicks struggle without Jalen Brunson, in Monday's game specifically, Julius Randle kind of looked like the guy we saw last year. Yeah, and yes, he did roll his ankle. I know that's out there. I'm gonna definitely mention it. So he probably wasn't 100%. I'll put that out there, because if you've ever played basketball and sprained your ankle, you know it does affect you. Yeah. So, but that doesn't, to me, that shouldn't impact your approach. It shouldn't impact the little things, because whenever I hurt myself, that only made me do things more when I played sports. Like I pressed a little more. So that was probably my biggest takeaway from that game. And man, if there was any question before who the star of this team was, to me, there's not now. Like, there's no question. Jalen Brunson is the Knicks' star player. And I don't know what, like, I hate for this because it's been a couple of games now we've seen it with Randall. But I hate for me to say, yeah, you know what? He's regressing completely, but I don't know how else to put it. Like, how else do you categorize it? So Monday was just kind of everyone's saying, oh, the defense. Well, Orlando only scored 97 points, so it wasn't the defense, people. Like they did a good job defensively. It was the offense. They couldn't score. That's what happened. So, and it's become since the trade. Look, OG is a great defensive player. I'm not going to take it away from him. I just don't see the offensive side that people told me might be there. I don't see it. And again, I said I'd give it 20 games. He still might be trying to find his way, but he had a prime opportunity on Monday to step into that role, and he just didn't. So I don't know what to say about this team right now, except for the fact that Jalen Brunson is their clear best player and MVP. What do you guys think?
What do you want to say? Well, Randall's a jabroni. Let's just put that right out there. This is no. I'm not pulling a damn punch. He's just a damn jabroni. That's the only thing. Prior to even, and I brought it up in the recap. I said prior to even twisting his ankle, Clyde Frazier basically said, "Where the hell is he? You showed up. You've been passive. You showed the same passivity over the last several games. Where are you at? When anybody know Iron Sheik, he said a little bit more than just jabroni, but we're going jabroni here as far as Randall. I've said off camera to Eric, I said Brunson MVP because if anything, he's showing that exact thing right now, that he is the straw, the Reggie Jackson straw, stirring the drink. He's everything right now for the Knicks. Their best clutch player, their best closing player, just their best option. My biggest fear has always been, I said, if one of those two guys go down, and namely, I should just say if Brunson goes down, this thing is going to hell in a handbasket real quick. And we're showing that. Deuce McBride, shout out to him. Been playing excellent. We've seen the development. That's the one player, if Knicks fans were looking to see whether or not Tom Thibodeau or this staff develops a player, this is the first guy I've seen them develop. Like, he's really shown his stints in the G League and the trust that the staff has given him to play the game. He's showing all those things right now as the backup point guard. And he was absolutely the best player for the Knicks on Monday, which I thought was just disturbing as hell because I said that was above his pay grade. He should not be the best player on the Knicks. Julius Randle's job is to be the best player on the Knicks and the leadership on the floor. But that dude, like I said, I asked the all Knicked Up family, tell me why I'm even laying off of this guy. What are we cheering about? A guy who goes off the reservation, who disappears during games, looks like he's not interested in ever playing defense once again. All the things that we shipped a guy like R.J. Barrett out for, the inconsistencies of his mental approach to games, or maybe with R.J., maybe the fact that he wasn't consistently producing points. But you never question the effort. That was the whole thing about it. You never question the effort. Julius should not get any pass. If anything, the same burning fire for RJ missing shots should be the same thing for him missing a defensive assignment. If we're gonna blow up guys for not being able to shoot 3-point shots, then a guy who decides that he's gonna plant his feet and point fingers on where other players need to go to play defense, I don't know why he's getting any sort of pass on that from the media or his apologists or anyone, because that's just unacceptable. In a game where you have it goes back to the same thing. When you see a game like it started to me in Dallas, underachieving when you know that you have a team that's wounded, these things cannot happen. And especially the other night, watching them have a 7-point lead and a collapse. That's a game where Julius Randle should say, give me the damn ball. I'm going to tell you all where to go. We're gonna power through this and we're gonna win it. Not wait for Deuce McBride to say, "Give me the rock. I'm gonna try to rock out and win these games." I just think it's been just so deflating watching that. And minus Jalen Brunson, if the Knicks do not make another move for a consistent point getter, distributor, whatever you want to call, they need an extra talent because Julius Randle has proven you cannot go by him and think that when Brunson's out, he is going to step into that role and become the reason we win or lose games. He's not wired that way, it seems. He mentally drifts way too often. And you got a bunch of other guys that he is trying to like set a tone for that kind of can do the same thing. You got a guy like Grimes who disappears. We don't know where he is. Guy like OG, not wired to score. He's wired to play defense and be a glue guy. This is what he is. You got Josh Hart, erratic shooter. The next best guy up is DiVincenzo. So you're relying on DiVincenzo now to come in and be really the alpha dog on that team if Julius does not want to be, involved in the equation. So the Knicks got problems. I mean, it might not show because we've had that great start when OG came over and we went 5-0. But Eric said it, 20 games. Now we're in the other 5. Now we got the other 10 to go. What is this going to look like and I think Brunson's back tonight, but they can't afford to ever lose him because even with him, you got to question whether or not you can actually win a lot of these games because didn't he play in Dallas? Was Brunson in the lineup there in Dallas? He was out in Dallas?
He missed the last 2 games. So, yeah, I think that was the first game he didn't play.
That's the first game? So
Brunson did play in Dallas, I think.
Okay.
He did play. Yeah, he did play. He had a terrible game. Well, you're right. He was injured. He didn't play great. So, he dropped the ball on that one. But think about it. That goes back to my point. If you can lose games with him and Randall in the lineup, especially a game against an undermanned team, they didn't have Luka Doncic, and you didn't beat them. Kyrie is a monster. Don't get me wrong, but you can't let Tim Hardaway be the second guy to beat you. Come on. So the Knicks. I like OG, but I think he's still trying to figure out what kind of player he is in a lot of ways offensively. I think that he has in his mind that there's things that he can do or he's worked on and he wants to display those. But I think he needs another summer before he comes out and actually is ready to debut some of those moves I've seen because they're a little bit disturbing. He's a great from the arc. He can shoot the 3. I don't even think that's even a question mark with him. But his quality of his game is going to show off the bounce. Whatever he's able to do off the dribble, which doesn't seem great right now, just keep it above. That is going to show you who OG is and what he's worth to the Knicks because the Knicks right now need another something. They can't rely on that guy being your third option. He's not. He's like more of a fourth option specialist, because you want him to be like Chris Middleton, and he's more middle of the road than he is Middleton.
All right, Joe, your turn.
All right, so there's a lot to unpack here. So I'm trying to figure out what my take is supposed to be on exactly. So I'll touch on a couple of topics.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's open. We're saying they're struggling. So what's your deal? Yeah.
I saw the tape too of Randall, and it was not pretty.
Mm-hmm.
It was not pretty. I hate to say it, but I thought it was kind of funny, actually, with how bad it was. But then again, I could pull a lot of other tape of outstanding play from this year. And That's the way I look at it. Again, I see Randall, I think, differently than you guys do. I've never subscribed to the he's supposed to be our star narrative. Like that's never meant anything to me. I still see him as a very good player who outperforms his contract and contributes positively to the team. So I'm good with him personally. That was ugly, yes, but he has done so much more this season that is positive. So I'm not necessarily worried about the guy and what that showed in the Orlando game. I think it's true that if you lose Brunson, we would be rudderless, but I think most teams, if you lose your MVP player, you are going to be rudderless. Unless you are a very, very, very deep team with talent. It's not been a good stretch for basketball. I mean, to tell you the truth, the Dallas game was very tough to watch. That is a game that we should have walked away with a win. Orlando was a game we should have walked away with a win. I'm more worried about another Nick than I am Randall. I'm worried about Josh Hart. I have to be honest with you. Yeah. I see a very mediocre player out there that we gave, $80 million to? Uh-huh. I don't see the magic. I don't see what made him special. I see a bench player whose bench role should probably be suspect on a really good team right now. The performance is not there. Like, I'm worried about him, and it's been consistent, and it's been all season. So I'm not necessarily worried about Randall having a bad stretch. I'm worried about Josh Hart being bad, frankly. And again, he was supposed to be that spark plug. He was supposed to, be that one who makes the magic happen for us, and he's not. So that's more concerning to me. I am encouraged with, there was always all that concern after the trade of how are we going to make up those points. That Quickly and Barrett, you see Deuce McBride stepping up the way he has, and I know everybody's been mentioning this, and he's contributing. If they don't trade Grimes, hopefully he will be pitching in. He's played better in very limited minutes, which I think has affected him. And OG Anunoby, again, I believe he has an offensive game, and I think he contributes offensively, and I think he contributes to the offense as a whole. Maybe not in the same way Barrett did or Quickly did, but I think you're both right. I think that there has to be some kind of a move for someone who can contribute consistently on the offensive side of the ball, because we are very vulnerable to the tandem of Brunson and Randall. And are they healthy? Are they on their games? What's going on? If one of them is out of place, the wheels fall off.
It's true.
So I've talked about DeJounte Murray, and Eric, you questioned that fit, and I can see why you're questioning that fit. I like the talent, but maybe a Malcolm Brogdon, somebody that could be gotten on cheap, maybe contribute, but I think they need to do something else. I don't think that just doing the Anunoby trade, although I think it made the team better, I don't think is enough to really get us where we want to go. So again, it's not a good stretch of New York basketball. Randall had a really bad game, and he hasn't been playing on top of it since Brunson left, and Brunson's been out. But I'm not going to push the panic button yet on any of this, and we'll wait and see what happens, man.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's good you brought up Murray, because we're going to get into some trade rumors next. But all I'll say about the only thing with Randall is, like, he's been here a while now, so we just see patterns, right? That's what you what you cling to, right? So that's the only thing I'll say. Like, yeah, you're right. He's been great at times this year. He's carried the team at times this year. He's been, this is the most efficient season he's had as a scorer, which I didn't believe until I looked it up. So he's been all of the things that, you want from somebody. It's just the question with him is always, when's the other shoe going to drop? Like, you're waiting for that to happen. And then when you see it, like we've seen it a little bit, you start thinking, okay, this is now he's gone. Forget it. Like, he's not coming back. So that's the fear. That's the fear we have.
That's exactly it.
Yeah. That's the fear we have. Yeah. So that's all. Like, that's what I see when it starts happening. I'm like, oh, here we go. Right. Here we go again. And, maybe, like I said, maybe it is the fact that Brunson isn't there. Like I said, Randall's a high-strung player. So maybe he presses and he feels like he has to do more, so he plays at a faster speed. Because what really did it for me? I'm gonna be honest. He was doing the spins again. The whirling was coming back, and I'm like, oh crap, here we go.
He's too easily defensible as a first option, which is what happened in that first playoff series.
Yeah, it's true.
First option.
He's gotten better at what Atlanta was doing to him, but teams have adjusted. So now he's working on adjusting to that. I just feel like it takes longer for him to process things. I don't know. Again, I don't. We were actually talking about this last night. He's proven he can't be a 2. He probably is more of a 3.
I agree
on a team. Yeah. But and I said this to Tyler. Yes, a high-end 3, yes. Yeah. But I said this to Tyler and the guys last night in the chat. I'm like, but the Knicks look at it like this guy's been one of the 15 best players in the league 2 out of the past 3 years. He's been all NBA 2 out of the past 3 years. So that's what they see. Yeah. That's what they're looking at. And it's hard to reconcile that when you're thinking about building a team. Like, this guy technically was one of the 15 best players twice in the past 3 seasons.
Yeah.
You know? So that's what I think. If I was in their shoes, I would feel the same way. I would be like, I know what my eyes are telling me, but the stats say he is this.
I think it's
And
emotional. It's so emotional with them. They're
it is.
using
You're right.
because basketball. If you're just a basketball viewer, say you're not even like us nerds about the game and watch it religiously and host podcasts over it. Just say you're just a person cosmetically on the floor. If you were a person that went to your first game, you're gonna ask, what the hell did that guy do with number 30? What was he doing? Because he looks like he just does not fit the rest of the parts. And it's got the numbers are so empty. That's the one reason why I always say when people say, "Oh, who's scoring?" The guy averages 20. I always say, that's 5 points a game or 5 points a quarter. That's a couple of free throws and a 3-point shot nowadays. Don't give me 20 points that you average that. Don't give me 10 rebounds. You can fall on 5 rebounds nowadays because of the long carry. So it's not like you're digging in, getting 10 rebounds like Wilt Chamberlain did or Karl Malone with the short game and you're fighting a bunch of trees. Those damn things ricochet and you can get those on the perimeter and fast break. Josh Hart is one of the best rebounders in the game. And he's like, what, 6'5"? Mm-hmm. Rebounding is a little over whatever nowadays. I don't even bother too much with that stat unless you're like a guy like Hartenstein who goes in and says, give me that, give me that, give me that. And I'm snatching the boards and I'm making an impact on the game. Looking at that guy play, just from a raw perspective, you can see he don't know what the hell he's doing on the floor most of the time. And you might come out and say, oh, he had 20 points. I didn't know it. Well, how did he help you win? Did he help you impact anything?
That's right.
He impacts his stats. Impacting winning and impacting stats are two different avenues in basketball.
Yeah. So that's what we talked about. Yeah, right? It's what we've talked about. Below the free throw line, you watch him and you're like, his body type, that's what he should do. Do that.
Should be doing exactly that. Should be doing exactly that. Yeah.
Right.
But then it's like you watch him and it's like, you can watch him lose you games. Like I said, if you're just a raw fan watching it, you go, damn, that guy's he's over there, he's double. He can't, Eric knows, Eric Glass told him said he can't see. He can never pass out of a double team. He's been in the league for almost, 10 years? You can't pass a double damn team? I mean, these are like the little nuances of him that I watch. And like Eric says, it starts. And once it starts, I'm like, he's done.
Yeah.
Eric is the one that pointed it out. I didn't even pay attention to it as much until I started watching it with him. We watched back and forth.
Has it been a lot less frequent?
And all of a sudden he's right.
It has. It has been a lot less frequent. Joe's right. It hasn't been as frequent this season. It's something he has gotten a little bit. He's gotten better at. He has.
Yeah.
But it's just like you notice it. It's once you see it, you're like, this is not going to end well. It's bad.
I like the expression "he's cooked." For that situation.
Orlando,
it's so true, man.
Not like that. Blame Eric, everybody. Don't blame me for getting on Randall. It's all Eric's fault because he pointed out. He's like, "Oh, he's gone. He's gone. He's gone." I'm like, damn, if he's not gone, Eric. Why?
It's true. Once he starts arguing a call, forget it. He's done for the game. Just don't even bother watching. Like oh God, he just did so anyway. I have the game on.
Back on D.
Exactly. Joe, that's the other thing. We would all be much more forgivable if those things didn't impact his defense, but it does.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Like you could if he's just screwing up on offense, but he's getting back on defense and hustling and trying, you're like, okay, he's just having a bad game.
Yeah.
But he lets it impact him defensively so much that's just hard to let that thing pass. And then people like nowadays with social media, anything he does, forget it. They just clip it and they show it and it's over. Like you don't even need to find it anymore. Remember it. I could be like, yeah, don't worry, someone will post it soon. I'll be able to see what happens. It's crazy. But we did bring up Murray. Joe, you brought up Murray. So let's get into a little bit of the trade rumors and the possible moves the Knicks might make.
I was on the Tappan Zee Bridge when you guys were talking about that.
Yeah, well, we are gonna talk about it more because the price for Murray keeps dropping apparently, which is a little surprising to me because at first it was 3 firsts like we just saw for Siakam. Now I heard they would take 1 and a player or 2.
Or two in the
All
first.
right, so let's wait another week, and then it'll be like, and they'll say, okay, we'll take a first now and a player.
I would do 2 in Grimes right now on that tonight.
You know what? I
Two.
said before, I still don't like the fit, but I do think for that kind of a deal, you'd be crazy not to. You'd be crazy not to do it.
This one thing I want to bring up, and I'll be quick with this. I think a lot that went wrong in Atlanta had to do with the maturity of Trae Young and somebody coming else in as a point guard. I think with a more mature backcourt mate in Brunson, I think that they could find a way to make that work. I think that they can.
All right.
Personally.
Well, I mean, Nate.
That's just gut. I don't know Trae Young or anything like that, but I get the feeling that he's kind of an immature dude. I can see him getting a little bent out of shape, like you're coming into my backcourt. You're a point guard. I don't like this. I don't know.
I just think Nate McMillan was also one of those old school coaches. You know, we got Quinn Snyder now in Atlanta. You got to have the right leadership to facilitate. And Nate's very old school from what I understand. No cell phones. He's like really, really a throwback kind of coach. Was he maybe the right person to intertwine those two players? Obviously, we know him and Trae didn't have a great relationship from what we learned. I still don't like the fit. I think that it still was a bad fit in Atlanta before they even got – when the trade happened, I said, that's not going to work. I just don't see those two guys meshing well. But it could have been personalities also not working also.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see where he ends up if he indeed does get moved. Mm-hmm. But I do think, again, I'm still not crazy about it, but I think for the right price, it would be the smart move to make. So we'll see what happens there. Gordon Hayward was another name that was brought up. I brought him up last week about possibly for a trade, via trade, but now it appears he's going to get bought out. Ty, you brought that up as well. You mentioned that last week. They were probably waiting for a buyout. I think the only question there is if the buyout happens is does he want to play here? Yeah. They almost signed him before. They almost had him before. So it really just would come down to that. I feel like the Knicks are, I don't want to say they're a Gordon Hayward away, but he would definitely put them in, move the needles for me at least a little because he does the things I think they need someone to do. Like he can run the offense. He can score a little bit. Good shooter, smart player, can take some pressure off, can be that second ball handler, and just calm things down a bit, savvy veteran, all the things you want that I think this team lacks, he would fit. So any other names you guys want to throw out there that we're hearing about?
Malcolm Brogdon. I've heard that there's interest in Malcolm Brogdon. I don't know what it would cost. I don't know how the salaries would work, but that's somewhat intriguing. But do you want to bring in somebody that's going to eat a lot of your backup point guard minutes with McBride playing the way he is?
Fair.
But then again, the same thing can be said about DeJounte Murray. If you're bringing him in and you're keeping, as many shooting guards as we still have on the roster, is he going to eat away at that backup point guard role as well? And is that a bad thing? It might not be. The Gordon Hayward thing really intrigued me, though. That's what I heard on the Tappan Zee Bridge. I was listening to the show while I was driving through the city, and I really liked that. I liked it the second you said it. I was like, man, yeah, he would really fit in and solve a lot of the problems for many of the reasons you guys brought up in the last show. I just don't know how it would work considering what his salary is and how a trade would work and something. But if he gets bought out, they need to pounce on that because I think, Eric, you said the last meeting, if they simply just add him, they become scary.
They do.
Because he does a lot of really good things, man. A lot of really good things. It's just been health with him. Now, he's not the vintage Gordon Hayward. The injury that away, and you guys covered that too. But if we could add him as a buyout, that's probably the only move we make, and we could really make noise with that. I think, personally.
Yeah.
I mean, he's having a fantastic season.
Fantastic player.
So, yeah.
He
And it's exactly like I said. He's 15-5-5. Like, he's 15-5-5. That's what you want from someone like that off the bench. That's perfect to bring in here. Shooting 47% from the field. I mean, definitely somebody I think would be smart. Ty, what about you? Anyone? I know there's a certain Zach we've heard about, but I don't want to really talk.
No,
yeah, right.
That's for the other brother that comes in every once in a while who loves him, but it's the other part of the Oreo. Craig. That's Craig's dude. His light skin obsession.
That's true.
It was funny. They said something about it was a tweet saying that the Chicago Bulls are trying to unload him to get back compensation. I'm like, well, they have to unload twice. They have to unload him and unload assets to get rid of him. His contract's an albatross. I don't think you bring that kind of player into the Knicks. I don't think you trade for it. And plus, I don't think the Knicks have nothing. They don't have salaries to match even to trade him unless you're getting rid of a Randall type. So
no,
that's not feasible. We've heard Kuzma also be brought up. A little intriguing, but I would, like I said, Katz. I think it was Katz that brought it up. That said, fun losing. And said that's what Tom Thibodeau would look at him as, somebody who's having fun losing instead of wanting to win. I'm on board with Eric's pick when he said it about Hayward. He just makes a lot of sense. He makes a lot of sense when healthy on any team, especially the Knicks, because the Knicks need somebody who can come in and kind of put this all together and be what I've always said. We need our Rasheed Wallace to come in on this team. I don't say they have to be a power forward like Rasheed, but you need an all-star level of play that can come in and give you that oomph. Because if your closing lineup consists of a guy like Gordon Hayward in it, and you're going down the stretch, good luck guarding the Knicks, because you can't double anybody at that point. Even if you got to think along those lines. Do you cheat off of OG, and he's a hell of a three-point shooter? Do you hedge off of even Hayward, who could take you off the bounce? Now you got so many different things you can do with that lineup, and he's a big body. The one thing that Knicks fans should be extremely concerned of with the Indiana trade is that we don't have the height requirement to get on the ride at small world right now. We have a bunch of short damn dudes that come playoff time, this is going to be an ugly city, because the Knicks with Julius Randle, who should be the body that can go down there and maybe bang and get some of these rebounds. His alligator arms right now. This dude cannot go down there and fight amongst the trees. We have only really one tenacious rebounder, and that's Hartenstein, who I think is even a better rebounder. I know people might think it's blasphemous. He's better than Mitch. We talk about Mitch's offensive rebounds, but the better rebounder on this team to me is Isaiah Hartenstein. That dude gets boards no matter what it is. He's either snatching your life or he's getting extra attempts for your team. He's the only one who has a nose for grabbing rebounds. He's had double digits rebounds in most of the games he's played recently. So outside of him, I don't trust anybody else to be battling inside there. And he's even a little alligator armed. When you think about, he's gotten snuffs at the rim. He's gotten, played against more athletic guys and not won the fight. I just think that we definitely got to add some sort of size either on the perimeter. If we're not going to add it on the front court, a guy like Hayward makes so much sense. And he's a killer. He can play the game very well. So the Knicks should be lining up. They should be in Charlotte right now. Whatever it takes, they should be tampering. You went to Brunson's game in Dallas. You should be down in Charlotte, getting biscuits at Chapel Hill or something. You need to be in Charlotte saying, what do we need to get you here? Because clearly he wanted to sign here at one point. They thought he would be here. I would line up because they got to make a basketball move. And this is what troubles about this front office. Will you make a basketball move? Will you make a basketball move? Not I like somebody, or we've been friends for so long, or he's a second agent. We're talking about, can you make a basketball move? Because OG's move to me was more, it was basketball somewhat, and it was business also. We're talking about put it together, because if the Knicks don't get into the second round and beyond, this is a failed season. Don't make it to be nothing else other than a failed season.
No,
because
that's the truth.
you already piled up where we could go with a team of guys you got rid of. So you said Barrett gone, quickly gone. We don't need you. Obi gone. We don't need you. And we're going to get back further than where we are, because those should be improved moves if you got rid of those guys. And if you brought in dudes and they don't go past, you get knocked out in the first damn round, Thibodeau needs to be gone. There should be no recovery. You knocked out in the first round with no injury, and these are guys I know you asked for. You asked for these dudes. He said that he wants to play Josh Hart like the same minutes. What television he's watching? You guys got that cable? What were you on Verizon? I'm on the Optimum. Whoever saw Josh Hart as somebody that should be playing this many damn minutes, and he can't even born that he was born.
Don't get me started. Don't get me started.
Yeah,
there is one difference, though, I think, with this team now, when it comes to looking at potential buyout candidates who, for the rare time in their careers, have the choice of where they want to go. Almost unlimited, except for teams that are above a certain tax threshold, I think is my understanding.
You're right.
We're just a better destination now. And a lot of the stink that this franchise has carried for a long time. Now, not all of it's gone. Let's not get, ridiculous here. But I've said for as long as I've been on this show, winning is really important, considering how crappy we've been, what a freak show we've been, just how bad the public perception of this team has been. And you know what? To the front office's credit, to Thibodeau's credit, to Randall and Brunson's credit, and the winning that's followed, we have suddenly become a team that people are looking at and saying, they're not that far off, man. Maybe I can go there. And so I think that we're viewed as a better landing spot. And I think Gordon Hayward would have to consider the Knicks, because he could find a role on this team. And this is a team that can make noise. And I think he understands the value he would bring to the team and make it better. So, Craig talked about perception when he was on the show and how important perception around the league was, with, RJ going home and quickly getting his bag, but also the winning combined with that, because that kind of stuff matters when it comes to these particular decisions with players.
Sure. No, I agree with that. That's a very good comment. I mean, I do think, like I said, because he was almost here before, I do think obviously he has a desire to play in New York. So I do think the Knicks, if he's bought out, I think the Knicks are one of the teams he would consider. Apparently, Sacramento has made Harrison Barnes, Kevin Huerter, and Davion Mitchell available in trade conversations.
Ooh.
So do any of those guys pique your interest?
Davion Mitchell.
We've talked about him before, actually.
We have.
Off night.
Someone we go after.
Off night. That's what his nickname is, because you're going to have an off night when he guards you. So somebody like that, definitely. Herter, he'd be coming home,
Yeah.
Glens Falls.
Yep.
Yeah. Can we touch back a little bit on the Hayward thing? I just wanted to mention that I think if we're talking about this front office being what they are supposed to be, which they're agents and they're sellers of New York brand, this is what Wesley was brought in for, I think it's an absolute failure if they don't get Hayward, if he's bought out. Because you should be able to sell him on exactly the things that Joe discussed. We're a winning franchise now. You have an opportunity to come here and shine. We need you. Look how special we were last year. These are things, we have a lot of sellable points now. If this team, who supposedly was brought in because they're connected, they know everybody, WWW, he knows everybody. This should be a slam dunk acquisition. It's the same I brought up about Brunson those years ago. I told Eric, if they don't land Brunson, this is the most failed franchise. They knew his father. They would sit his turkey. They hang out on the weekends doing miniature golf. If they could not bring in Jalen Brunson, this would have been an absolute atrocity. for the New York Knicks front office. I'm going to say similar things about this now with Gordon Hayward. If you know that this dude had wanted to come here, you almost had him lined up. The money just wasn't right. He's a Tom Thibodeau. Supposedly, Thibodeau loves this dude. Yeah. How can you not slam this home if he becomes a free agent? This is a failure. If he doesn't, and you need him, it's not like you got, I don't know what we're going to do with him. We have the same guy playing the position. Because if Thibodeau says that Josh Hart can do what Hayward does, which I'm starting to wonder if that might be kind of the case, then we're asked out as a franchise because you this home, if anything, to let people know we're in business and we're in the business of winning in New York. That's what the Knicks need. They got to slam this dude home because if they don't, this is an absolute failure. Why are you here for if you can't bring home a guy bought out and tell him we need you to win?
Mm-hmm. No, I mean they do. I agree. Like it's time now for those connections to pay off. Like I feel like we were sold like this. Yeah, exactly. I think we were sold this bag of goods that was like, oh, these guys are connected. They know all the players. Blah blah blah. And then like we don't get Durant, right? Okay, that was the first one, and then it just kind of went down from there. Like every guy they mentioned talked about Brunson, like you said. That was in the bag, pretty much. They know Rick, he knows Thibodeau. He's known him since he's a kid. Everything the way that season played out and how everything was going, it was the worst kept secret in the world. Everyone knew he was coming. So that was, to me, that wasn't a get. That was just okay. It was going to happen. I want them to close somebody who I don't know is coming. I want to see those connections work. Yeah. That's what I want to see. So that's all I need to see because this front office, like I said, they've done the right things in a lot of ways. They've done the right things. Haven't gone crazy. Haven't traded all their draft picks. If Isaiah Thomas was here, we'd have no draft picks for like 30 years. So,
and we have Jerome James back.
Yes,
he would have given DeAndre Jordan a 10-year contract. So, like something crazy like that. So I'm happy with those kinds of things.
Yeah.
But I'm still not happy with the final product. They either need to get me somebody who I don't know is coming and they have those connections, or they need to do things like Ty's saying. You have this relationship with Gordon Hayward. You wanted to come here before, didn't happen. Close him now. If he's bought out, close him now. Bring him home. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens as the trade deadline approaches. I think, is it earlier this year? Did I hear that somewhere?
I thought I heard that.
We're coming up on like 2.5 weeks, I think, till the trade deadline. It's early February.
See, when is it? February 10th. Yeah. So February 10th is the trade.
It's real early this year. Wow.
Yeah, it used to be after. Yeah, it used to be after the All-Star game. Yeah.
Was it not? Wow. Look, let me tell you. There's two moves right there if you think about it. If the DeJounte Murray thing is true and that's all they're asking, then I'm putting the Knicks on the hottest damn seat in the world. Either you close the DeJounte Murray, because that asking price is just too easy. Why would you not? Or you better damn well close Gordon Hayward. If those two things don't happen.
If they close both of those things.
Well, they could.
They could.
They could.
I'm gonna be hot and bullish on this team. If they
absolutely.
Things.
The thinking you're saying, Joe, is what should happen. They should be able to get DeJounte and close Hayward. Because
they say the clutch thing is a barrier, but this dude signed for 4 years. How much of a barrier can that be? You don't have to renegotiate with them.
Nobody cares about
some access.
Nobody cares about Richard Dell. Nobody cares about that.
They're making a big deal of it in print, and
he's on the contract. He's got to go with expensive. The Hawks will do what's best for the Hawks, not what's best for Dell.
Yeah, and he's signed for 4 years. They don't have to worry about re-signing him.
Yeah, he's already signed, so they have no
reasonable.
Rich Paul has
somebody of his.
Yeah.
All he's gonna do is go cry at Papaya King and want to leave, but he can't. So he'd be stuck here. It doesn't matter what the hell he wants at that point.
I still think the most likely location for him, even though I want him to be a Knick, I think San Antonio. I think he's going to wind up in San Antonio again.
He was there already. What are we doing here?
Love to go back,
I never thought that.
and they've got plenty of ammunition. He
Trey-
said
Trey
that he'd
Young
love to go back and play for Pop.
Trey Young's trying
No.
to get to San Antonio, they say. So I think that might be the angle that goes on with him.
Interesting. I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
Sorry, Trey Young's trash.
It's-
I've never
His
liked him.
camp wants him to play with him.
I don't know. I don't like him as a player.
No, the two J's on Joe and John. They don't like Trey.
I would take him over Brunson. I'm not even gonna lie, but
Ert's a big fan of it. And he brought me a fan of
That's
Trey.
just with me not liking him. I mean, he's obviously got game and he's obviously got an elite skill set, but you know what? Screw him.
you're just mad about what happened when they
New York is
played
coming out.
us and beat us. That's what that is.
In
New
3
York-
years,
And
he's
I don't
gonna be
blame
a
you. I don't blame you.
player.
Like that.
All I know.
Yeah, that's true. He's probably gonna be bald one day. That's without it.
I
This is
refer to him
outside.
as Air
But-
Club for Men.
It's crazy because he doesn't shoot great percentages, but his efficiency is still high.
He's
I don't get how that works.
These clutches.
But-
That's what a problem with him.
Well, it's the assists. Like he averages 11 assists per game, so it's
Yeah,
that's those lead to points, so that's added to the efficiency rating, and But you're right. Defensively, he's bad, but
Yeah,
really bad,
really
like,
bad.
really not good.
Yeah, he's
But
not at all.
I don't know. He has the flair for the dramatic. He would be if he came here. He would be a huge star.
He won-
Like he's a star now. He would be a humongous star if he played for the Knicks. So
he would be. I'm going to tell you this. I will say this.
We're rolling at 33% from the field tonight, guys.
of course,
I love Brunson, but I'm going to tell you one thing.
We're
Trey would,
15
be
from
more,
3.
Trey would be more clutch in certain situations than Brunson would be. Give it a buck. He has that flair for the dramatic.
He's
where
got that Reggie Miller. I can put
exactly.
12 points on you in 45 seconds if I need to.
he can get to the line. And he's a shot. He creates shots for other people. Like
Yeah.
that's the one thing that Brunson doesn't do that bothers me. But Trae Young creates shots for other people too. So, I mean, I get why Knicks fans don't like him. I totally get it. And trust me, I was not happy watching him in that series at all. I was like, God damn it. But man, if they could ever get him, because I mean, it's weird. I love Atlanta as a city. I do. I've been there many times. It's a very fun place.
This town.
But you're right. It's a horrible sports town. Just a horrible sports. I don't know why. Because even you think football, but even the Falcons, they're like.
I don't think
You know what's hard?
and I'm a Falcon fan. They'll get behind the Bulldogs.
You know why it's
Yeah.
hard?
They're diehard for the Bulldogs, but their sports team when the Braves were winning all those
Just the
games,
Braves, but that's the only team that I know that they like actively root for is the Braves.
You
That's
know,
the only.
you'll see Turner Field look pretty damn empty for a team that has been really, really good. Those 90 teams, you would in the playoffs, you would be seeing empty seats. Like, what the heck is going on?
Come
I
on,
know.
y'all know what the drill is. Don't tell me you don't know what the drill is.
What? No more Freaknik? That's why.
Those are the strip clubs. They're not going to sports. Come on.
That's true. That's a good point.
Man, it's not.
Although Tampa has more. Like Tampa has more strip clubs.
Well, at least
Guys, I'm telling
Florida
you.
loves football. They are football
Not-
state.
Yes.
I will tell you from experience. I went to college up here, Niagara Falls on the Canadian side.
Lots of strip clubs.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, well,
Hmm.
Atlanta, that's why they can't win. Nobody's coming in there. They're too busy at the buffets at the strip clubs. They're not.
Lemon pepper wings.
Who told you what was more important from AT aliens is to be in a strip club getting lemon
When
pepper?
you travel to
Travel.
go to a strip club, you leave where you are and go to this place, and then you say it's because of the wings. Come on, man! Like
There's a G4 to go get wings in a strip club. That's all you need to know about the power of the strip in Atlanta. That's all.
Lou Williams, man, gotta love Lou Williams.
That's so.
He didn't hide from it either. He didn't hide from it. He was straight up. Yes, that's what I did. It was great. It was
Come here
great.
for the wings. Come here for the wings.
All right, let's shut this one down, guys, because the game's on, and I'm sure you guys want to get to watch, and other people, if they're watching, want to get to
Can I get
watch.
an update on the score? Update on the score at all?
It's 32-27 Knicks with 7:25 left in the second quarter. So I would love to have put it on, but then they would pull down the show, so I can't do that. But that's the score. So yeah. But you said they're shooting 33%, Joe? I don't.
They were 33% when I saw, and 3 for 13 from 3.
Well, that part.
Now it's
that score means
34.5% and 21.4% from 3.
Yep. Yeah, but the Rockets are shooting 34% as well, and only 17% from 3.
Yeah.
So whoever gets that is going to win that game.
Yeah.
What it seems like.
And if Houston is a 3-point shooting team, then the Knicks are going to be asked out.
This is one of those games you should be blowing them out, but you're going to let them stick around, and it's going to get scary in the fourth.
Well, they're much better than they were. They have definitely improved.
I like that coach. I don't care what happened to Boston. I like him.
Yeah. I wanted him to be the Knicks. I don't care what.
So would I. I would take him in a
It
heartbeat.
has nothing to do with me, but Udoka can coach.
Yeah, he can.
Yes. So much
What he told LeBron to me is exhibiting what you want to have, what I would have loved to have in New York as a coach. Someone willing to get in somebody's star's face and says, don't let this dude punk you. We don't play soft basketball around here. And I don't think Thibodeau is a soft dude either. Not getting to that point.
No.
I like the newer blood doing that
Yeah.
to kind of galvanize these guys and see what he went to the finals with the Celtics first year.
Yeah.
Somebody knows what the hell they're doing. He's from Pop's Tree too.
And he's turned around these rejects. Because Houston was bad last year, like real bad.
They were just very young, but the Van Vliet trade, the Van Vliet signing was smart. Looking at it now,
a lot of money. Though.
I mean, they drafted well. Sagun is this guy's a budding star.
Yeah,
Jalen Green is just loaded with talent. Yeah, they drafted Jabari Smith. I mean, they have a really good young talent. So they just needed somebody, and they have Boban. So that's all that matters. They have Boban, and
they got Dylan Brooks. Dylan Brooks, $80 million contract.
Dylan the villain.
He's poking bears.
Yeah, but
man.
Yeah, but he gives them that edge. He gives them, that for a young team. No, I don't trust him.
No. How much was his contract? You said $80 million.
$80 million over 4.
Is that Josh Hart money? Would you trade him for Josh Hart? Would you want him?
I'll stick with the hope that Josh Hart will turn back into what he once was. Dylan Brooks is a schmuck. I'm sorry. I have no patience for that.
Yeah. I agree with you on a personal level. I don't want no part of him because he's just a douchebag and I don't like guys like him. But he's a guy that if you're in a game, on a team, you want someone like him on your team.
He's a dog.
You definitely do.
He's a dog, that's for sure.
Yep. He gives you edge. Yep. He gives you an edge. Now, I don't want him shooting, but he does that anyway. But I don't want him shooting the ball. Like, don't stop. I'm like, no, stop.
He shoots like
but yeah, I mean,
Draymond instead of shooting like Morant. Which one
like he's not. But no, I mean they are a very talented young team, and they're going to be a problem for many years if they keep growing together.
They might be a problem tonight.
I mean, yeah, it's a 3-point game. It's not like we're blowing them out. 3-point game.
Who was the player that they had that had all of those horrible allegations come out? Was it Kevin Porter?
Porter.
Yeah.
Did anyone pick him up?
They left.
They
traded him to Sacramento, I think it was, or somewhere, and he's been cut.
Yeah,
he had some ugly stuff going on, if I remember correctly. Like
that's just something. He ended up in Houston because he had ugly stuff in Cleveland, and then he went there, and then he more ugly stuff. The talent's always been there. It's always been about whether they're noodles.
The kid can play.
He can ball.
Oh, he can play. Yes, he can play. So, well, Josh Hart can't. No, I'm kidding.
Josh Hart, it's such a disappointment this year.
He's been his dress is blown up. That's really what it is.
I thought he was back with that one game when we were messaging back and forth. I'm like, there he is. There he is, right there.
You're right. He was back for that one game.
That one game.
I think he's
I got all
disappeared.
excited.
What the extent was, but since the Miami series, he has never to me been that guy after that. I don't know what he did in the Olympics.
He doesn't look like the defender he was, let alone like the hustle and the rebounds and the steals. He doesn't look like the
I honestly think I think he's one of those guys who needs his role defined. And when they didn't have a backup power forward, he kind of just, I think he's just one of those guys. Some guys just need to be told, this is what you do.
Yeah.
And I think he was just kind of like, they have him doing stuff that he's just not good at. Like, whenever I see him bring up the ball, I'm like, you're not a point. Like, why are you bringing up the ball? Like, I don't mind him when he rebounds and goes coast to coast. Yeah, he's good at that. But he's just not good in the half court at all. And that's where he's being exposed. That's what he's just not a good half court player. So
he's being and I said that the other day, he's being overused for his talent level. Thibodeau does this to every player. He finds these utility guys that have been bench players their whole career and role players. And he thinks for some reason he sees Scottie Pippen in them. So he's like, no, you're Pippen today. And you're going to bring
Alex Burke.
And Alex Burke's the same thing. He thinks it's a job anyone can do. And that is false information on a basketball court, because you take a guy out of his element that he's been comfortable all these years of doing, and all of a sudden you're asking him to be you're asking a tree to be a frog, and that's literally what's happening with Josh Hart. He's a sneak player. He gets those rebounds because you're not expecting him. That's really what it comes down to. That's what makes his specialty. He has a nose for the ball, but you tell him slow down and run the offense.
Yeah, I'm just trying to. I mean, yeah, he last year when the Knicks got him, he shot 59% from the field.
Yep.
He even shot 52% from three, which I knew that wasn't going to last.
No.
Yeah.
But no, he was a 10.7 rebound guy last year when they got him, and
all the intangible plays. Everything.
Yeah. But the other people are gonna say, well, he got his money, so
it's going to look like that. It looks like he sat on
it does look like that, and I hate to think it, but it does look like that. He's a hustle player. He eats by hustling, and
yeah. I mean, he is.
The hustle not there is the incentive not there. Thus the hustle. Thus the results.
It's what Ty said. Like he is a Tom Thibodeau player. Like that's who he is. That's the kind of player he likes, and he is the epitome of it. And he will lean on guys like that all the time. In lieu of, we saw with Alec Burks. He didn't play quickly. He was playing Alec Burks. Like he just picks these guys who are fine players, but he just leans on them. Yeah, he leans on them.
Josh, I always loved you. And he goes off, and I see you as more than just what you normally were drafted as. And then he goes on. I mean, he sends them flowers. The love affair starts the whole damn season, and he won't move. He has undying love for these guys, which is.
We need to do some Photoshop with Thibodeau on Cobblepot and have like all of his players as like the gang members around him. We'd have Joe Kim in there, and Josh Hart, and maybe Luol Deng.
I don't want to call it scrub, but he loves a scrub. I don't want to call him he plays a scrub, but he loves level scrub. Like the dude that overachieves.
There's a man that could get
Thibodeau trying real hard. That's the guys he believes win him big games, and it won't. Talent.
I mean,
we got to rewrite the TLC song for Thibodeau with the scrubs.
When he first got to Portland, the end of that season, when they first got him, he averaged 20 a game. Like he was scoring. I don't know. I don't know what to say about this dude. Again, it's hard. It's hard to root against a guy who plays like him, right? He hustles all the time. He does all the intangible things you like, but man, when he's bad, he's really bad. Like there is no in between.
When he's not bringing his
yeah. Like when he's bad. Okay, don't want to see you anymore. It's really bad.
Yeah. He's something else. We'll see.
All right, let's close this one down. Ty, tell them where they can find you.
Find me on X, Genius Scribble. Also on our All Knicked Up fan page, all my recaps. Come holler at your boy. Come visit us. Like, subscribe. Tell your mama. Tell a friend. You know, we pretty good at this. You know, y'all need to come and holler at us. We not no scrubs ourselves. We are not the Josh Carter podcast. Just to keep it real.
Yes, and we're getting better every week. The flow of the show is getting better every week.
You will find some of the best game recaps that you will find anywhere on the fan page.
And you will find all the celebrity gossip on Joe's Twitter feed. You didn't know about all that, but it's true. He is a low-key celeb gossip TMZ type.
I got the lowdown on the Riverdale cast and Taylor Swift and all the people from Vanderpump Rules. Like, I got all that going on.
I don't know that stuff.
My brain is this big, and it is filled with all of that.
You go.
It's all at your fingertips. All you got to do is reach out.
Right there. Tell them where. At Upstate Joe AKU. That's where you find them.
Yeah, for All Knicked Up and on the fan page too.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Check them out over there. And you guys know where to find me.
It's when people reach out and tell me that my takes suck. I love that.
Yes. And again, if he's going to start bringing some of that celebrity news in, if you're interested in that. I can't wait. I cannot wait for that. No, I'm kidding. Anyway, you guys know where to check me. Finally33 is my Twitter handle, my personal handle. At all_Nick_up is the show handle. Check that out for all the Knicks news that I post, because I do post a lot of it lately. The show also feeds there as well now. And you, like I said last week, you can leave comments if you watch on Twitter, which is new. So you can leave the comments there, and I can actually see them. That never used to be the case, but now I can see them while the show's going on. So if you're on Twitter and you want to watch at all_Nicked Up. At all_Nicked_up is the handle. I do a show called Straight Outta Gotham, a podcast. That's where you get the TMG stuff, the fandom pop culture information that you're looking for. It's at straight_O_G on Twitter. I co-host that with my boy Pete Vera. We're actually approaching episode 150. I cannot believe it. But yeah, we're getting there. So come check that out. And it's a podcast. You can find it anywhere you get your podcast. Spotify, Apple, iTunes, Google Podcasts. Podbean is where it's hosted. So if you have Podbean, the Podbean app, you can find it there. Check us out over there. And yeah, come join the fun.
Yes,
I think that's it. So yeah, so maybe next week we'll have actual trade news. I don't know. I have a feeling though something might happen. There's just a lot of buzz. So
I'm surprised 2 major trades happened this early in the trade season before the deadline. It's weird.
Yeah. Yep. We'll see what happens, but I kind of have a feeling something's going to happen.
Better, because Craig's not going to make it if we don't have one. Just like
I think specifically with Murray. I just don't know where he's going to end up, but I do think he's going to get traded.
You'll never see Craig back on here if there's no trade. I'm just going to let you know. That would have been the last time you saw him, because
I feel like we could be on the pace for 60 wins and he'd still want us to trade. Like, he would still want us to make a move just because he wants to trade. Like, I don't know.
Trades are fan entertainment.
They are. They totally are. And they keep you interested, and you're checking the rumors all the time. It's true. They are a cool part of sports. But yeah, next week, guys, again, we'll see what time. We came on early this week. We'll see how it goes next week. If there's a game, sometimes we try to hit you early. Sometimes we try to hit you after. You never know. Just stay peeled to the Facebook page, the Twitter handle. I post all the information up there. And that's where you can find out. So for Ty and Joe, I'm Eric. You're watching All Knicked Up. See you next week.